Revit modelling for the students who cannot attend open workshops in Riccarton campus here in Edinburgh, principally therefore designed for Dubai students, ALPs and independent distance learning students. We've opened up Revit, but I'll kind of start from scratch apart from that really. So if you open up the modelling tool Revit, and if you go to New, under Projects, and I need you to browse to the templates, and the default template is the one that we'll use here today. And let's make sure this says Project and not Project Template, and that will open up a blank Revit project. Now, for those of you who've never seen Revit before, I'll just briefly mention the interface. The ribbon, obviously up here, we've seen lots of ribbons, they're all over the place now, but this one's a wee bit different. We can give it various states, we can have it semi-closed and take that process a stage further until it's almost closed completely, but I suggest you keep it open at all times so you can see that what tools are active and what's available to you in a nice visual way. This area here is the modelling window where the model will actually appear, and that's the kind of editing working area. These two panels on the left, one of them is called Properties panel, another one is the Project Browser. Although they live in the same kind of area, they're profoundly different. Properties is sensitive to what you might select in here or some tool that you might have active. You'll see how that works as we proceed rather than me trying to explain it. The Project Browser is the different views of the same model. It's a single parametric kind of holistic model, and unlike traditional CAD, if you make an edit in one elevation, then that edit is in the entire model. You don't have to then go on to make another edit in plan view in a detail view or even a 3D view. So if you make an edit anywhere, it's in the model, and these are just simply the different views that you can have of that single model. Now, we're going to model a fairly complex building, a full steel framed structure, and I'd like you to kind of stop and start this video as we proceed. The very first thing we need to do is go to elevations in here in the project browser and use one of the elevations. I tend to use East as a matter of habit. It's only a habit, anyone will do. And we get a couple of level lines given to us out of the box, so to speak. Now these level lines are going to be heights in the building, and I'm going to put a few more in. The level line tool is up here, so I'm going to select it, and I'm going to put a foundation level in, one subsurface level, and this one I'm going to call it footings and pile caps. And click on the white space here, you'll get a dialog box asking if you want to rename the corresponding views over here. Now I would suggest that that's always going to be a yes, so yes, and then you'll see that the footings and pile caps name is sitting in here in the project browser, and it's exactly the same as the name in here that we've just typed. Minus a meter is probably fine. That will vary a bit, but it's minus a meter is the number I've happened to have gone with. I'm going to straighten these out so they all line up. Level 0, you can leave it as level 0. I'm used to seeing that as ground level, so I'm going to change it. You're welcome to change it or leave it, whatever you're accustomed to seeing there. On the ground, this usual question, and it's always going to be a yes for me. And it's at 0, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll just move this down a wee bit. You can kick this down with its elbow if it gets in your way. Ground level is going to be at 0, that's fine. Level 1 at 4 meters, that's also fine. So I'm just going to put in a few more levels in this building, and I'm going to keep them all at 4 meters. I've just forgotten that we changed level 2 to footings and pile caps, so I think this is going to be level 3. It's not, this is the new level 2. And I'm going to come up the building now and move these down a wee bit. I'm going to make them all at 4 metres though, so 4,000 mil. Keep them all aligned. That's level 3. I'm going to make this maybe a 5 or 6 story building. Incidentally, as long as you get it aligned, the number in here on your left hand side doesn't actually matter, because you can just type in your 4,000 mil and it'll start in the right place for you. And I'm going to go one more. And this top level I'm going to rename it roof level. Just a final check. Foundations, footings and pile caps down here. Ground 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 to the roof level, and they're all at 4 metres. So that's that part of the setup finished. I'm just going to extend it out a wee bit. So it should look something like that. And I need you to go to the lowest level, which in our case obviously is going to be the subsurface, footings and pile caps level for the foundations. And we're going to put in the next part of the setup, which is the grid lines. I'm just going to randomly start up here. These are the elevation markers, north, south. This one's west, this one's east. I'm going to ignore those for the moment. I'm going to randomly start at some area up here. And if I hold the shift key down, I can make that, force that to be straight vertically. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to put these grid lines in at 10 metres apart. Now if you find this a bit of a nuisance, you can zoom out a wee bit and it'll stop picking up the hundreds. So I think it's just a wee bit easier. Now I don't know I haven't got a predetermined size of this footprint of this building. I'm just going to go with what I fancy really. That's 5 of them. I'm going to make it quite a big building. So I've made 7 of them in there. And I think they should be aligned. It's a matter of good form to keep them aligned. And that's them now. You'll notice that they number themselves. These vertical grid lines are all numbered. I'm now going to put in intersections. Now, please don't do the intuitive thing and start here. I want to make intersections, so I'm going to start here. Hold the shift key down, it'll keep them horizontal. And the software hasn't chosen to change this from the numerical numbering to letters, so I'm going to do that for it, for the first one at least. So that's A, the rest will become B, C, D, etc. Grid lines, and I'm going to keep these at 10 metres. There's nothing magic about 10 metres, they're not all 10 metres. But they have to be something. So 10 metres is as good a number as any. And I've zoomed out here to stop picking up the hundreds here, just to make it a wee bit easier. Now, I know we're not making intersections, but we can fix that in a minute. And that'll do. So I've got grid lines here, they go down to F. They're all in alphabetical order. Now to make the intersections, just select any one of these. I'm going to choose this one here, but it doesn't matter which one you choose. And just pull it down so they create those intersections. Because it's the intersections we are going to use to place foundations and columns. Okay, and that's the grid finished. The footings and pile cap view has a minor adjustment I would like you to make at this stage rather than later, and it's to do with its view range. So having hit the escape key a couple of times or this modify button up here, which has the same effect, I'd like to scroll down to view range, which is here, and if you edit it please and make the view depth unlimited, And the cut plane up here is set a bit high. If you can change that from the 1200 to 200, apply and OK. That just, it's going to make things visible in this view. Now, many people start with the foundations first. I'm accustomed to starting with the columns, and I'm going to do that now. I'm going to put a steel column at each of these grid intersections. So the column tool is on the structure tab here, and this column that you get on this template, the UC column, is actually just fine for my purposes, and I'm going to use that. So column, I can make sure that it's going in vertically here, and I want it to go at the grid intersections here. So make that blue, and then I simply just box the entire grid and finish, and escape a couple of times. If we look at those grid intersections here, I'll zoom right in, you can see you have a column. Quite hard to see, but it is there. If I have a wee look in 3D, you can see you've got your columns in. Now, I'd like to select any one of the columns and then type SA to select all. And here I'm going to change the properties of these columns using this properties panel in here. The base level is at footings and pile caps, but the top level I want it to push up through the building a wee bit. I'm going to take it to level 2, and I want to remove this base offset of minus 2.5 meters. And that should be at 0. And I can either hit the apply button, or I can just simply mouse over onto the white space and it will apply it for me. So I'm going to come back into the floor plan for footings and pile caps, and now we're going to load in things of footings, things of foundation. If I go to structure and use the isolated foundation tool, I get this message saying that no structural foundation was loaded in the project, and would I like to load one in now? Yes, well, the answer to that is going to be a yes. And I'll just go to the Libraries, UK, and the folder is called Structural Foundations. And there are two that I want to load in. I want to load in the rectangular footing, this one here for all round the perimeter, and these columns here, here, and I can't get all the way up here, but it's in there as well. And the other one for the internal columns, where most of the weight of this structure is going to be placed, the pile cap, 2 round piles. So pile cap, 2 piles, and the footing rectangular. Those two are fine for me. I'm going to load them in. And hit the escape key a couple of times and go back to the tool. And I want to do the perimeter ones first. You could do the internal ones first, but I want to do the perimeter one first. So I'm going to choose the rectangular footing that we've just loaded in. I'm going to choose the smaller of the two. It's enormous, so I'm going to go with this 1800 by 1200. And this time I'm going to use the at columns tool. So that's not blued in, so make it blued in, make it active, and just select like that. Make sure you continually reselect this at columns. Choose your parameter columns. Finish, and then last time, see in there, and that's the perimeter columns done. Hit the escape key a couple of times. Have a wee check in 3D, and you can see I've got those perimeter columns all with the proper footings on a rectangular footing, 1800 by 1200. I'm now going to put in the footings for the internal columns, so it's back to the isolated foundation tool. But this time I have to change it to the pile cap 2 piles that were loaded in. That's them there. You get a wee preview image of it up there. And again, at columns, and this time I'll just choose the internal intersections of those grids and finish. And if we check it in 3D, you can see we've got all the various footings in the right place, at the right column. So Now I'm going to put in a floor. I'm going to put the first floor in on ground level. Zoom out a wee bit. I'm going to leave these elevation markers just in the wrong place for the moment. We'll fix that later. The structural floor I'm going to use on the ground floor, I'm just going to go with slabs. So this slab here. I'm going to make this ground floor and the floor above it, the first floor, I'm going to make them rectangular, just as they come. But I'm going to make them offset a wee bit from the columns. Zoom in a wee bit, make life easy. Choose exactly that intersection or halfway along that column. And then down to the bottom right hand side. And finish. And again in 3D you can see that's the floor going in on the ground floor. Now I'm going to make this floor, I'm going to copy it onto level 1. I'm going to copy that level onto that level 1. Now for this first session I'm not going to put beams in, but clearly it needs beams, this model, but that's for the second of these video workshops. So level 1, I've got my floor put in exactly the same as the floor below it, and I'm now going to copy it on, in fact, into level 2 and make that edit. I'm going to copy it into level 2, but this time I'm going to edit its boundary. I'm going to come into level 2 and I'm going to tidy up this floor a wee bit. I'm going to foreshorten it at this side. So I'm going to use boundary line tool, remembering the offset was 250. We'll keep the offset. I'm just going to select here and come down just any random amount, just a small line in here. And I'm going to do the same over here, bottom left. Boundary line 250, that's still fine. And it's just, well, clearly you can see these don't meet, and we're going to tidy it all up now, get rid of some of this excess boundary lines that we now have. So this tool here is called Trim and Extend to Corners. So select that, and you select the bit of line you're going to keep, and I want this part of this bit here to go. I want to keep this, and I want to keep this. So I select the bits I keep, and you'll see that that's gone. It's now disappeared. Now I want to keep this, and I want to keep this, but this area here, I want to get trimmed away. So how you do it is keeping this, and I'm keeping this side, and that goes. So you just repeat that process. This side, I'll tidy it all up for you. Modify, and if you get rid of the original boundary line just with your keyboard, and that one there, you'll see in 3D you've got a new floor. And this floor I'm going to copy up and paste it up to level 3. Now, we can see now that the columns are basically going up too far on this side and this side here, and these don't go up high enough. This floor at the moment is floating mid-air. So I'm going to over-select here. I just want to deal with these columns here so they go up to level 3. So I'm just going to over-select. Don't have to be too delicate with this. Now clearly I don't want to select either of these two floors, so I filter them out. The filter tool lives here. And I'm just going to deselect floors. Applying OK. And those are the columns I want to edit. At the moment they're going up to the top level, level 2. I want them to change to level 3. And these, the opposite kind of maneuver has to happen. These have to go down from level 2 down to level 1. So these floors are all getting supported. And these are the same. Level 1. Okay, so that's the end of that particular webinar, and if you get to that stage, I'll produce another webinar showing the beams going in to support these floors, and we'll do that next time. Thank you very much. Bye bye.